So, to put it plainly, in our first 5 months of business, we made roughly $42,000. I think it's really important to know that you can love what you do and you can build something incredibly meaningful, and you can still be honest about how much work it takes to make it sustainable. What's up, y'all? I hope you are doing well. As promised, we are going to be sitting down and talking numbers today. So grab some tea, grab a snack, and let's get into those numbers. So I want to talk about numbers for a minute. First, we're in a different location. I feel like when I've been doing my when I'm talking to you, I have been at home in the reading room. So today we are switching it up and we are actually in the shop. I thought it would be helpful to physically be located in the shop that we're going to be talking about. So here we are. We are physically and digitally in Buttermilk Goods right now, and it feels so good. First, I want to introduce myself if this is your first time stopping by. My name's Zakia, and I am the force behind Buttermilk Goods here on this channel. In the physical realm, we are a curated vintage shop that I own and operate with my husband, located in Metro Detroit. And in this digital realm, I talk about all things at the intersection of fashion, history, culture, money, and the realities of being a business owner and a workaholic, and all the things. So if any of that sounds good, thank you for stopping in. Hopefully you choose to stay a while. Subscribe, like, share, comment. All of those things are free, easy ways to support the work, and I really appreciate it. Today I am going to be going over something that I think I wish more people were talking about, which is just getting down to the numbers. Almost 6 months ago, I opened a vintage shop in Metro Detroit with my husband, and it has been a labor of love. Let me just say that, emphasis on the labor. And we are here today to sort of sit down and talk through how much we have made in our first 5 months of business. So I think without me rambling too much, let's just get on into the video. So, to put it plainly, in our first 5 months of business, we made roughly $42,000. And I do want to be clear about the fact that that is in gross sales, not profit, but that distinction matters. But gross, we have made about $42,000 in our first 5 months of business. Now, before we get too deep into the video, I do want to provide a little bit of context just in case you have forgotten or this is your first time sort of venturing into this journey. I am running and operating a curated vintage shop, and we also sell some new items as well as some secondhand items. So it's sort of a mix of the three, but I would say our main sort of component is the vintage curation. It's both men's and women's, but I do also want to be very clear that we are only open a total of 18 hours a week, 6 hours a day, 3 days a week, and those days are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So yeah, I do want to be very clear about the context, primarily because I think that numbers without context can be incredibly misleading. We're not a high volume resale operation. So the reality of any business is that you have expenses, and our business is no different. So that $42,000 doesn't just magically turn into income. There are a lot of expenses, including the rent, the utilities, the inventory, any marketing that we choose to do, software, the fees, and of course, our labor. So I think one could ask, is that good? And in all honesty, I think it depends on your goals. It's not a massive number, and for some it would be a good sign, and for some it isn't a good sign. But I think for me, the number tells me three main things, which is that the shop does work, that people are finding us, that they are resonating with what they're doing, and there is some demand, and that the model is a viable model, but it is also very telling of the reality that it's not passive income, and this does not it does not, what is the word that I'm thinking of right now? It does not, I don't know, the word is escaping me, but it's work. But I think it's important to share this primarily because I think that small business transparency really does matter, and I think even more so in creative businesses and creative industries, where I think that success is often it's often aestheticized. And I think it's really important to know that you can love what you do and you can build something incredibly meaningful, and you can still be honest about how much work it takes to make it sustainable. So the first month really felt like this rush of adrenaline, and by month 3 I was asking very different questions about time, energy, labor, trends, the environment. I mean, there's just so many things that, you are thinking about as a business owner, especially when it comes to growth, especially when it comes to sustainability, and also when it comes to, I think, your mental health, if you are at all interested in sustaining any sense of that concept. I am going to do another video on what has been selling really well in the shop versus what hasn't. So I'm not going to go into that too much in this video. Just stay tuned for a dedicated video to that. Okay, we are back. We're switching between cameras today, and that's just what it is. But I did want to sort of ask this question of, is this sustainable? So within 5 months, we've made roughly $42,000. Do I feel like this is a sustainable business? Now, I want to be very transparent about the fact that sustainability means different things to different people. So I think it's first important to maybe define what sustainability in terms of this business looks and feels like for me. And at this moment in time, sustainability is being able to continue building and growing and evolving and showing up for this space without feeling completely depleted and burnt out, and from a space of operating in lack. And I don't necessarily feel like I'm there, but I do think that I have the potential to be there. I think that vintage is, and just retail in general, having any sort of clothing business, it is very, very brutal. And I do have another video that will be coming out soon where I'm actually talking about the relationship between fashion and style and clothing, and how it relates to a lot of what we're witnessing just in American society and culture and politics, and the economy and all of these other things, where it is impossible to detach politics from creative spaces and creative forms, and that includes how you dress yourself and your style and your fashion. And so I'll be going into that a little later, but I will be very honest that I am in a space of reframing a lot of things for myself and reframing my relationship to labor, and asking myself deep questions about not just if I can sustain the labor, which I know I can, but asking myself if I should, and if it's something that I need to do at this moment in my life, and if it's something that I want to continue with, being very clear about why. And so I'll be very honest that I'm in a space of genuinely asking myself this every day. So I'll let you know. But something that it does really bring back into the focus is this question between growth versus stability. And I do think that the ways that you operate to sort of have this never-ending growth is very different from how you operate when you're just trying to sustain something. And though we still need to grow the business, we also need to think about it being something that is stable and is able to support itself. So I'll be honest, I don't really have an answer right now. I am actively in the process of figuring out. We're only 5 months in, so I think that is, normal. But I do think that bigger isn't always better, and so we are trying to really deeply analyze what it looks like to stay in the space versus leaving and moving. And yeah, I'm in a space right now of figuring things out, and I am very much so a person that's like, hey, I tried this thing for a year, it didn't work out, or it worked out but I didn't have the energy, or it worked out but I don't actually want to do this anymore. Like, I'm very okay with changing my mind. I give myself the permission to do so. So I don't know. I will let you know, and we'll circle back to that question. So I do want to be very clear about the fact that I am 100% confident that I am not trying to build an empire. I am trying to build something that doesn't burn me out, and I am very comfortable with being in that space. And so I will be moving forward with that at the forefront of my decision making. So I think that I am going to do a larger video on advice that I have for anyone who's thinking of opening a shop, as someone who is in the beginning stages. I'm not in the beginning stages in the sense of I just out of nowhere decided I wanted to sell vintage. I was selling vintage online for about 14 years prior, so I think that there is that context that is really important. But in terms of having a brick and mortar, this has been my first time doing that, and having worked in other people's shops, I knew what it entailed, but there's a totally different weight and level of responsibility when it's all of it is you. So I think I'm going to make a longer video, but I will just answer 2 questions very quickly, just because I think it might be helpful if you are thinking about this, is sort of thinking about who this might be for. If you are someone who knows that you want to make your way, and you sort of want to be able to curate not just for yourself but for other people, and sort of facilitate a space of engagement and thoughtfulness, and you want to be a part of the community and be a fixture. If you don't like working for other people, if you like making your own schedule, if you are able to pivot, if you're able to adapt quickly, if you're okay with high levels of risk and high levels of uncertainty, and for a while, very low stability and security, it might be for you. Okay, so here's who it might not be for. If you like stability, you aren't a risk taker, you like being told what to do, where to go, how to do something, this is what I need, get it done by this date, then you're done. If you want to have a balance between work and life, if you like some level of predictability, if you feel like you don't feel comfortable betting on yourself, I mean, this wouldn't be for you. And I genuinely don't say that in a condescending way. I really don't think that this is for everyone. It's not for everyone. It is extremely hard, and it is exhausting to it's exhausting. But I think that some people find pride in that exhaustion, and I think others find depletion. So I think just figuring out who you are and being honest about it is important. So all in all, this is just meant to be a quick video sharing the overview of what we've made in the first 5 months of being open. I am planning to keep sharing the numbers as we go, not really to sort of perform or boast about any success, but in all honesty, just to tell the truth about how it's going, and I think to help give some perspective, just a different perspective for people to consider. So if you are someone who's thinking of opening a shop, or you're already in it and you're looking for other stories and other perspectives, or you are questioning if your numbers are normal, I really hope that this helps to ground the conversation, and this is really just my offering to anyone out there to just be honest and open, and just share how it's going in my little corner of this retail self-employment world. So yeah, I'm going to keep sharing the behind the scenes as things continue, sharing what works, what doesn't, what I wish I knew sooner, what I thought I'd considered more. I mean, I'm going to be sharing a lot of different perspectives, so this is just the beginning. But if there are any questions or anything else that you would like to hear about how things have been going in the business in terms of cost, inventory, our non-vintage items, how much that's costing, I will be doing some videos on what is doing well, what isn't doing well, expectations versus reality, all of that good jazz. So okay, I feel like my camera it really wants me to shut up, so I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna end the video here, and yeah, I will continue sharing about the journey. So if there's any more specific questions that you would like to know, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. I will see you in the next video. Bye.